The average American spends over $3,000 eating at restaurants each year. But what that number doesn't tell you is the fascinating psychology behind why we choose to dine out versus cook at home.
That's such an intriguing data point, especially when you consider that home-cooked meals typically cost about 1/3 of restaurant prices for the same dish.
You know what's really fascinating about this whole debate? It's not just about the money. Recent studies show that people who regularly cook at home consume about 200 fewer calories per day than those who primarily eat out.
But then, how do we explain the surge in restaurant culture, especially among millennials? The latest market research shows restaurant spending has increased by 40% in the last decade.
Well, it really comes down to this intersection of convenience, experience, and what experts call culinary exploration. Studies from food anthropologists suggest that dining out has become less about sustenance and more about social connection and cultural discovery.
That's exactly what drives my preference for restaurants. There's something about experiencing a chef's vision that just can't be replicated at home.
But here's what's interesting. Research from the Journal of Positive Psychology found that engaging in creative cooking activities actually correlates with increased happiness and reduced stress levels. It's like this form of active meditation.
Though I have to point out that the same study showed that the stress-reducing benefits only kicked in for people who actually enjoy cooking. For others, it had the opposite effect.
You make such a good point there. And it reminds me, you mentioned having this signature dish you've mastered. Tell me more about how that journey started.
Well, it took about 6 months of dedicated practice to get those hand-pulled noodles right. Did you know that traditional Chinese noodle masters train for at least 3 years before they're considered proficient?
That's incredible dedication. Speaking of mastery, I've noticed this interesting trend where home cooks are increasingly investing in professional-grade equipment. The high-end kitchen appliance market grew by 25% last year alone.
Right, but doesn't that somewhat blur the line between home cooking and restaurant quality meals?
Exactly, and that's what makes this whole discussion so fascinating. We're seeing this convergence where home cooks are achieving restaurant-level results, while restaurants are marketing themselves as providing home-style comfort.
You know, that reminds me of a recent food industry report showing that 65% of restaurants now advertise house-made or home-style items on their menus.
And yet, when we look at the actual cooking habits of Americans, only about 36% cook at home daily, down from 50% a decade ago. The pandemic temporarily reversed this trend, but we're seeing those numbers slide back.
So, what does this tell us about the future of food culture?
Well, experts predict we're moving toward what they call a hybrid food economy, where people maintain a fluid relationship with both home cooking and dining out. It's not about choosing one over the other anymore.
That makes so much sense, especially considering how meal kit services and ghost kitchens are creating this entirely new category between traditional home cooking and restaurant dining.
And let's not forget the impact of social media. Food content creators have revolutionized how we think about both home cooking and restaurant experiences. The average person now takes 12 photos of their food per week.
The digital age has certainly changed our relationship with food in unexpected ways.
Looking ahead, what's really exciting is how this evolution might continue. We're seeing the emergence of community cooking spaces, virtual cooking classes, and even AI-powered kitchen assistants.
That's fascinating. It's like we're entering this new era where the boundaries between home and professional cooking are becoming increasingly fluid.
Exactly, and maybe that's the real takeaway here. It's not about choosing sides in the home cooking versus restaurant debate, but rather about understanding how both experiences contribute to our culinary lives.
Well, this conversation has certainly given me a new perspective on my next meal, whether I'm making it myself or letting someone else do the honors.
And isn't that just perfect? Because at the end of the day, food is about nourishment, joy, and connection, however we choose to experience it.